Hello! In this video, we will show you how to create an assignment request. So from the main dashboard, click on Workflow, then we'll click on Requests. And this will take us to the dashboard that shows all of our assignment requests. To create one, we can come over here and click on Create Request. This takes us to the assignment request wizard. This is the coverage details page. So at the top, you'll see we have our healthcare organization name. And then throughout this process, anytime you see a red star, that means that item is required. So we'll first select our facility. Notice we can select multiple facilities, but we'll just select one for this assignment. Next, we'll select our specialty. And one thing to note is we can select multiple specialties, but in this case, we will just select anesthesiology. And then if we know our department name, we can input that. And then we have reason for coverage. And this is important information that your organization can use for future analysis and reports. So we'll say it's a scheduling need. Next, we will choose how many providers requested. So the reason we would add more than one provider for this is, let's say the assignment needed more than one full-time provider to fill the needs of the assignment. We'll still keep this at 1 in this demonstration. Next, we have the start date. You can add the date or select ASAP. Please keep in mind your organization's credentialing timeframes. Filling the position as soon as possible is nice, but the time frame is also relative to whether you are looking for a new provider or for one who has previously worked at your facility. Next, we have the end date, and you can select ongoing if this assignment will continue further than the projected end date. Next, we will choose our provider type, say physician. Provider title, you can say MD. We will then add the coverage type. Notice that if you select any type that includes call, an additional page will be added to the assignment request. This allows you to submit additional important information regarding your need. You will then need to select your EMR system from the dropdown. And the decision date is optional. However, it can be helpful to give your vendors an idea of when the decision will be made. The next question is, will facility accept multiple providers? This allows you to accept additional bids for the assignment. So say, for instance, you have a need that is going to cover a long period of time, and one provider will most likely not be able to cover all of the shifts. By accepting additional bids, you are more likely to fill all of your shifts. You will then select practice settings. Note that additional boxes for more information will appear depending on your selections. You will then select on whether admissions are required. And then the patients per shift and department are required. If you aren't sure about these, you can put your best guess for now and then come back in and edit those numbers as needed. Then we'll answer hospital stroke certified, and then rounding patients, we'll select unassigned. You can now either select draft and come back to finish the assignment later, or click on next step. This completes all the information on the coverage details page. Next, we have the practice details page. We'll answer this first question about the facility requiring physicians to be board certified, so we'll say yes. And then we can choose we want them to be certified. Next, we have what is license requirement to bid. So if you only want bids from providers who are already licensed for your state, you will select this first option. Please note that selecting this choice may significantly reduce your pool of candidates. The next selection will allow bids from providers who are licensed in your state, or if the provider has an interstate medical licensure compact license. Selecting this option does have some limitations, but is more likely to increase your pool of candidates than selection number 1. This last selection, none, gives you the largest pool of candidates, but may include candidates who are not yet licensed in your state, significantly impacting their time to start. You'll answer the next question regarding reimbursement for licensing costs, then the estimated credentialing time frame. We'll put in 60 days. Then you'll go through and select which certifications are required. We'll select if fellowship is preferred, required, or not applicable. Then you can go through which certifications are required. If you select Other, it will open up a free text. We'll just select No. Next, you have the trauma level, followed by the PEDS level, and then the number of support staff. Once again, these are required. You can go ahead and fill these out if you aren't sure, and then come back and change them once you have the information. Next, you have the question regarding who will be covering insurance. Typically, that is the vendor. Then we have 2 more questions regarding supervision and resident or teaching supervision required. We'll say no. Finally, we have the travel details. In the nearest airport section, this is helpful for the provider to know the best route to take to arrive at your facility, especially if you're in a rural location. So we'll just put in an airport, and then sometimes it's helpful to specify which airlines fly into the nearest airport. With lodging recommendations, there may be times when a facility has an agreement for a discounted rate at a local hotel. This is where you would provide any information regarding the hotel and the code for the discounted rate. It is also helpful when you review invoices to make sure the agreed rates are matching the invoice. At this point, we can either save draft or move to the next step. We've now completed all the information for the practice details page. Next, we have the call details section if our assignment requires call. Not all assignments will have the call section, so if we go back to our coverage, we can see that we have call only selected. If we selected no call, then you can see the call section has gone away. We'll go ahead and fill out the call information. Say assigned patients, beeper, call response time, say 30 minutes, call ratio 1:1, 5%, say 5 consultants, 6 to 10, and admissions 3. Then we'll select next. And then our next page would be specialty questions. So in this case, we'll answer questions regarding anesthesiology. And we can either select all at the top or no, or we can go through and select manually. You can put in the number of operating rooms. And then we have specialty skills. Similar to the one up top, we can select all, or we can go through and manually select our skills. And now we can either save draft or click on next step. This brings us to the scheduling needs page. This section is optional and is meant to be used if you already have your specific dates and times ready to be submitted. Having this information can make it easier for vendors to check availability with their providers. If we don't have this information available, we can skip to the next section. We'll go through the process of adding scheduling needs as if we already had our specific dates and times. To add your scheduling needs, we'll click on Create New Scheduling Needs. And this opens the Create Shift Schedule window. So we'll choose our facility at the top, which is the only facility we selected. If we had multiple facilities, we could see those in this drop-down. Here's our specialty. And then the number of providers in this box is specific to this shift. Typically, you will only have 1 provider per shift. On an earlier page, we mentioned allowing multiple providers for the entire assignment, but don't confuse assignment with shift. Once again, this is specifically asking how many providers for this one shift. So we'll leave that at 1, and then we'll select our shift type. Keep it regular. And then we'll enter our shift start date and time. So we'll say September 23rd and 6 a.m. Then our shift ends on September 23rd at 6 p.m. And you'll notice in the summary, it tells us how many hours we have scheduled. The repeat section is really convenient if you have shifts that are repeating. So say, for example, your shift is every weekday, Monday through Friday. We can select this, then we have to select our scheduled end date. Let's say our schedule ends on Friday, November 29th. And then at the bottom, we have the summary, which allows us to confirm our shifts. So now we'd say weekdays, 12 regular hours per day, Monday, September 23rd, until Friday, November 29th. And this will automatically create all of these shifts for us without us having to do them manually. The only thing we'll have to add is a title so it knows what to call these shifts. So we'll say anesthesiology. And then by clicking submit, it creates all of these shifts for us. Now in our assignment request, we can go through and see all of the shifts that have been added to our scheduling needs section. Let's go back and create a few more scheduling needs. So anesthesiology. This time we'll select a weekend shift. So shift start date. Say it starts at 2 a.m. Shift end date. And this time we'll say it does not repeat. And this will just be a single shift. So now if we click on submit and create another, it creates the shift, but it leaves the create shift schedule window open with our information already filled out. So now I can just go ahead and let's say the next Saturday is our shift. So all I have to do is make those little changes. And now I can click submit and create another. And we can continue manually adding shifts through this window. If I'm done, I can go ahead and click close. And now I can see those additional shifts have been added to my scheduling needs. One thing to note is that you cannot submit a shift that is longer than 24 hours. So say, for example, you were trying to schedule a shift from the 23rd through the 24th, started at 12 a.m., and you put 12 p.m. Notice now in your summary it says 36 regular hours. Once again, you cannot create shifts more than 24 hours. So the longest this shift could be is from 12 a.m. on the 23rd to 12 a.m. on the 24th. And then we can see in our summary, it's 24 regular hours. Now that you've created your scheduling needs, it is recommended that you save a draft at this time. In the event that you leave this page without saving, the shifts might not appear in the assignment request. If this does happen, please reach out to your scheduling analyst and they can help move the shifts back into your assignment request. But please do not go back in and create the shifts again, as this will create duplicates of those shifts that have already been created. And we have now completed the scheduling needs section. This next section has questions regarding Medicare's requirement for locum tenens billing, which will be determined by your corporate office. Not all HCOs will have this section in their assignment request creation wizard. If you do see these questions when creating an assignment request, please reach out to your organization to ensure the questions are being answered correctly. Next, we have the other details section. In this section, you have the option to upload any documentation you feel would be important for the vendors to know about the job. You can also upload any required documents for your state or facility in this section. You can either drag and drop your files right into this section from your folder, or you can browse and upload by clicking, selecting the document, and then you'll be asked to enter the file description. And then click upload. And now you can see this file has been added into the documents section. The description and other details section is where you will want to put a complete description of what your needs are from the vendors. If you are unable to add the scheduling in the scheduling needs section, this is where you can add specific details regarding the type of shift you need covered. You can even go ahead and just copy and paste from one of your other documents. Then at the bottom, we have our default contacts for the facility. So please update any of these changes so the right individuals are receiving the notifications. And then finally, we can add our cost center. And at this point, we can save draft, or if we're ready to submit, we can go ahead and click on the submit button. A pop-up window will appear with a question that asks if you have a provider in mind for this request. If you select yes, you will then choose the provider you are requesting from the drop-down, and then you'll be asked to select which vendor you are requesting the provider from. If the provider has previously been submitted, only the vendor with procuring cause will appear. Going back, if you select no, it will ask you to select the vendors you would like to receive notifications for this assignment. So we can either choose a select few, or we can select all. There are many options on how you can set up your preferred vendors, but please contact your Locum Smart account manager to set this up. We can now go down and we'll click Submit. The request is now open, and the screen will automatically refresh for us to view our new assignment request. I hope this information has been helpful. If you have any questions, please contact our 24/7 live chat team or email support@locumsmart.net. Thank you and have a great day.